Hey, it's Julio Ricardo Varela here. And yeah, I mean, here I am, happy 2024. Haven't set everything up, but this story was so important for me to just shine a light on. And I'm so grateful to have Phillip Arroyo Esquire, who, just in full disclosure, wrote a lot for me for Latino Rebels. So I got to get the journalistic part out of this, but that doesn't mean that the story that Phil is going to share with y'all it doesn't diminish the importance of it. We're going to be talking about the case of Virgilio Aguilar Méndez. And the way I want to do this is I want to talk to Phil for a little bit, and then I'm going to, at the end of this video, I'm going to share the body cam, the full body cam, and the press conference. So you get to decide what, you make the judgment. But as you know, there's a viral petition, and Philip can share a little bit more about that. But welcome to this conversation. I don't even have a name for the show yet, Philip. So, you're here. So, Phillip Arroyo, welcome. Let's just tell me more about this case, Virgilio Aguilar Méndez. You shared it with me late December. I think people were still in the holidays, but coming back to it, there's definitely been a lot more interest the last couple of days. So, tell us about the case and the latest.
Yes. First of all, Julio, thank you so much for having me. I think it's very important for the English-speaking media to catch on to this grave injustice because it's obviously exploded within the Hispanic national media, Hispanic social media. But I think that our non-Spanish-speaking brothers and sisters across the country need to know what is going on in St. Johns County, Florida, with our client, Virgilio Aguilar Méndez. For those of you who don't know, Virgilio Aguilar Méndez is just turned 18. He is a farm worker at St. Johns County, Florida, which is in the city of St. Augustine. A person of limited means, a very humble young man who does not understand English. He speaks very little Spanish, although he does understand it, but his native language is an indigenous language known as Mam. He comes from a very rural and remote village in Guatemala. During this unfortunate incident, quite frankly, what we're seeing is a textbook case of racial profiling. The body cam videos that were released, and I'm sure your public will have the opportunity to see after this interview, will clearly show how Mr. Aguilar Méndez was simply standing on a well-lit sidewalk, walking towards his Motel 8 room with a phone in his hand, talking to his mother. For some reason, Officer or Sergeant Kunovich from the St. John Sheriff's Office thought that was suspicious. If you analyze the call logs from the dispatcher logs, the first thing that Kunovich radios in is suspicious Hispanic male. Nothing else. Usually those type of dispatch calls begin with, subject potentially committing a crime or subject potentially trespassing. None of that was seen here. So then after that, there was an attempt by Officer Kunovich to search Mr. Aguilar Méndez, which is a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. And I just want to try to say it in layman terms, as simple as possible. The Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution essentially prohibits the government, in this case the police, from searching you and your person for no reason. There has to be a reasonable suspicion that you're doing something wrong, or you're committing a crime, or that you're actually committing a crime, that they're witnessing it, or probable cause that you actually are doing something that could be criminal. None of that can be seen in the video, and the video speaks for itself. At that point, Officer Kunovich calls reinforcements. They tackle him to the ground. They beat him. They knee him. They tase him over 6 times. All of this, mind you, after it was very clear to the officers that Mr. Aguilar did not understand English. They didn't follow the protocol, which we've already confirmed. They have a protocol within their office. They have policies and procedures. I believe they even have a relationship with the company Language Lines, which is a well-known interpretation company that, ironically, I used to work for before law school. That was not followed. Those procedures were not followed. So they beat him, they tase him, they cuff him. And after this incident, like 10 minutes after the actual taking into custody of our client into the patrol car, Officer Kunovich tragically has a heart attack and passes away. Surprisingly and shockingly, the sheriff's office charged him initially with the murder of a police officer. They then amended that charge to aggravated manslaughter of a police officer and resisting with violence, which in Florida, if he is convicted, he's facing the rest of his life in prison. Months passed by. Well, before I get to the months afterwards, days after the incident, the elected sheriff of St. John County, Robert Hardwick, holds a press conference, presumably surrounded by many other elected officials, and announces that this entire incident, and everybody's going to be able to see that video as well, because I'm sure Julio is going to share it.
I'm totally, that's the end of the video. Like, that's why I wanted to talk to you first. I think people, this is important, and there are some questions about the case that we'll discuss, but it's really important for people to see the whole thing. But I thought it was important for you to present it first, because you need to give the context, and also the fact that also, just so that we understand, the press conference happened earlier last year, and then the body cam video got released later in the year. So when you look at the press conference, you have the sheriff talking about a body cam video that no one had seen, and then they see it later. So I think it was important, not to interrupt, Phillip, but I think it's important for people to understand, because it was several months after, from what I understand. Like, this is not something, your client has been detained since the spring, right? So there's a lot here. Anyway, continue, please.
So Sheriff Hardwick, during that press conference, states, among other things, and I'm going to try to cite him as accurate as possible, this was a textbook procedure by Officer Kunovich. None of this would have happened if Mr. Aguilar complied, and Mr. Aguilar pulled a knife on Officer Kunovich, and a struggle ensued, causing Mr. Kunovich's death. That was elected Sheriff Robert Hardwick from St. John County Sheriff's Office. That was his statement, public statement, surrounded by elected officials days after the incident. 3 to 4 months later, body cam video is revealed. Oh, and before I get into the body cam videos, during that press conference, Sheriff Hardwick even says the body cam will show that this all started because Mr. Aguilar pulled a knife. So months later, the body cam videos come out, and folks, you're going to be able to see the video. At no point is there a knife pulled by Mr. Aguilar. At no point is there any type of behavior or conduct on behalf of Mr. Aguilar that could be interpreted as potential criminal activity. And there was a common foldable pocket knife found on his person, but much after Kunovich's involvement, when he was arrested and taken into custody by other officers, not Mr. Kunovich. And you can clearly hear in the body cam how Mr. Aguilar Méndez states that the reason he had that knife on him is because that is the knife that he uses at the farms to cut melons.
So let's just stay here, because obviously, let's stick to this point, because obviously people are going to look at this, and there's going to be plenty of people who are going to say he had a knife on him, right? So, and police had every right to go after him because he had a knife on him, right? And I also want to talk a little bit about, and let's just, we're not trying to limit the life of the officer here. He died of a heart attack several minutes later, right? And we can talk. So those are the 2 points I really want people to understand before we go into the video. So tell me about the knife, because obviously anyone who's going to look at this is going to be like, well, he had a knife. They were right. So your thoughts about that, counselor?
So the issue of the knife, like I mentioned before, was nowhere to be seen at the beginning of the entire interaction. So I think what's very important for the people to understand when they see these videos is how the elected sheriff of St. John County blatantly lied in a public press conference stating that Mr. Aguilar Méndez had pulled a knife at the beginning of the interaction on Kunovich, which caused a struggle that ended in his death. What really happened, and what you will see in those videos, is that this was a case of police brutality, racial profiling. There was no knife during any of the interaction between Officer Kunovich and Mr. Aguilar Méndez. There was a knife found in his pocket after, and it's very important to stress this, after he was already put in handcuffs, where officers do their usual inventory search of people who have been arrested, and he had taken the knife out of his pocket, but it was folded. It's a common folded pocket knife that many people across the United States, especially in the South, many have them as family heirlooms. So the fact that he had a foldable knife, which he explained why he had it, because it was a tool he used at work, shouldn't be interpreted as him being guilty of anything. He never pulled a knife on Kunovich. The knife was folded. It was never opened. So we think this was just an attempt by the sheriff's office to manufacture a narrative that Kunovich feared for his life in some way, which the body clearly indicates the opposite.
And from what you understand with Kunovich's death, the coroner has said it was pre-existing conditions, it was natural death, right? That's clear? That is clear.
Clear. The autopsy report is very clear. It says that he had pre-existing conditions, hypertension, among other serious. He had heart disease. Yeah. I believe he was a smoker as well. The autopsy report even goes further and indicates that his cause of death was natural. But
and so what? Yeah. So then, where's the connect? This is the part where I think, and you've talked about it, and you and I have talked about it. This could set a dangerous precedent in American criminal justice. In the fact that what the sheriff or what St. John's County is doing with this young man, who you've already established, and you will see this young man, and it's heartbreaking video. Like, I'm not here to exploit the tragedy of your client, but I do think it's video that people need to see and let them decide. But I will say this, Phillip, in the sense of someone is being charged for the natural death of someone, and I don't know what I looked at that video and I'm like, he was talking to someone in another language outside of a motel. So can you take it back a little bit? Because I did see the statement from your firm and you yesterday about, like, yes, there's allegations of racial profiling, and you talk about police brutality, but the bigger issue of this could set a dangerous precedent in American criminal justice, or is that too far of a conclusion?
No, I think you're absolutely correct. From a legal standpoint, this can create an extremely dangerous precedent. And I think it's very important to educate the people on the following fact. The Constitution is very clear, specifically the Fourth Amendment, that constitutional protections protect all, quote, persons, regardless of demographic, regardless of their immigration status, all persons. It doesn't say citizens. And the courts have resolved that and clarified that through numerous precedent. So the danger of this case is that, ironically, if, God forbid, and we're going to try everything in our power to avoid this and prevent this, if Mr. Virgilio Aguilar Méndez is convicted and sent away for the rest of his life in prison, any American citizen who has an interaction with law enforcement, be it an arrest or a police-citizen encounter, and that law enforcement officer happens to have a heart attack and die, you could be on the hook for that officer's death and be sent to prison for the rest of your life. So I think that it also should shed light on, after I became a criminal defense attorney, I have gained a better or a higher understanding and respect to the word liberty. And I know there's a lot of sectors in the community who wield that word around for political reasons, but this is not a political issue. This case is a grave threat to the liberties, the American values of liberty and freedom from government intervention. Because if this precedent is set, any American can be held liable for the death of a police officer and be the victim of an unreasonable search and seizure from the government. So I think that's a very good point that you just made. And I think it is
and that's why I wanted to ask this question, because, you know, as we live in this sort of post George Floyd world, and you've seen what's happened the last couple of years, where people are now probably going to look at this video and be like, well, there's going to be plenty of people who are going to say, like, well, he deserved it. You know, let's be honest, like this, once something's online, and there's a lot of people out there. And as you know, there's a petition that you shared after you did a live TikTok that is getting hundreds and thousands of signatures. I've written about it, and I'll share the link. But it is important to look at sort of the bigger issue from that perspective. But at the same time, you are talking about a young man, 18 years old, cannot, you know, speaks an indigenous language, is a farm worker in Guatemala, sort of the most invisible of the invisible right now. Let's be real, right? And especially in a place like, you know, I lived in Florida, you lived in Florida. There are still parts of, like, we have to remind ourselves, there are parts of Florida that still think they're stuck in the 40s and the 50s. Like, I've been there, believe me. Like, I was north of Orlando in the late 90s and early aughts. And so it doesn't surprise me that places like St. John's are still thinking that, you know, this person has no voice. So let's leave that aside for a second, Phil, because, like, there's two more things I just want to ask you before we turn it over and share the video in the press conference. How is your client doing, number one, in the recent events of what's happened? Let's stay there. And then you also have news that you wanted to share about next steps. And I understand that Virgilio has been judged to be not competent for prosecution right now in this case. Can you just unpack some of that a little bit? Also finding out more about how Virgilio is feeling right now, and then share what you guys what are your next steps in this case, and then we'll share the video. So take it away.
So without getting into too much detail of attorney-client privilege, I can tell you that our client Virgilio is very afraid. We have to remember that Virgilio comes from a very rural part of Guatemala where there is no police presence. He has no idea of how the criminal justice system works in the United States and in Florida. He knows what he's being charged with, but obviously he's just as surprised as us as to why he's being charged with this. But I would say in general, he's in good spirits. He is aware that his story is being spread, and he's happy about that. So I can say that he is feeling supported by the country, by the community. So in terms of him being found incompetent, I'm going to try to clarify this as simple as possible. In Florida, usually 99% of the time, people or defendants are declared incompetent because of a mental disability, an intellectual disability, which prohibits them from understanding how the system works. Virgilio wasn't found to have a mental incapacity. The judge just concluded that, considering his origin, that he comes from a primitive rural area in Guatemala, that he doesn't understand the criminal justice system, that's why they declared him incompetent, in addition to his language barrier. So essentially what they did was that they're going to try to make him competent. They're going to send people to the jail to try to teach him about the American justice system. And once he has a better understanding, then the case would be activated again.
So he's still being detained since I mean, how many months has he been detained?
He's been detained a little over 7 months with no bond. At the last hearing, the state said they had no objection to a bond. The judge said he didn't have an objection to a bond, but they had to resolve the competency issue, which has already been done. And I believe that the Office of the Public Defender is going to be moving forward with a bond hearing.
Right, and it's clear that you're representing his family, like, and there is a public defender that's defending his criminal case, right? That
correct.
Okay.
There's two teams. Actually, there's three teams of attorneys. There's the criminal defense team, which he's represented by the Office of the Public Defender. We got the civil team, which is our office, defending him on the federal lawsuit, and he has an immigration attorney who's helping with the immigration detainer.
So what are your next steps from the civil perspective, given the recent events that, the fact that, there's a lot more interest in this case in the last 48 hours, right? I mean, I've been watching it, following it. It's now become an organic, viral thing online, and I'm seeing it coming from different places in my own media space. So, I contacted the sheriff's office on Thursday, and they were like, we're not going to comment on a pending criminal case. But that wasn't what the question was. I mean, there was but obviously they're not going to talk. And I would assume that, getting this attention is not, from their perspective, they're probably, I can't speak for them, but from their perspective, they're probably like, what's going on? So I don't know, but I asked them to be on the press list. We'll see if that continues. But what are your next steps? And then we'll wrap this up and share the video in the press conference.
Well, for the past month, we've been analyzing all the facts, looking at all the circumstances around this case, and legally analyzing whether a lawsuit can move forward. And today I can announce that we have concluded that, yes, there will be a federal complaint. There will be a federal lawsuit. I can't go into too many details about exactly what date and time, but that will be taking place.
But you feel, given the facts, representing them, the family from a civil perspective, that you have enough as a firm to be like, we're going to take this to court. So it's a federal lawsuit.
Unequivocally and absolutely, yes. This was a violation of Mr. Aguilar Mendez's constitutional rights, violation of the Fourth Amendment, violation of the 14th Amendment, violation of the Sixth Amendment, and also there may be even a charge of defamation as a result of sheriff's clearly inaccurate expressions during his press conference.
So, Phillip Arroyo, I really appreciate your time with all this. What we're going to do is now I'm going to share the videos and the press conference. You can all decide. You can follow more at julioarvarela.com. I'll be tweeting about it. Also follow the Arroyo Law Firm, because you have been sharing about this online, on social media. You've been very public about it. So it's not very hard to find you and your firm if you want to follow this case. But thank you so much for being on this conversation. I don't have a name for my show yet, but I appreciate you being our first guest.
Excellent. It's an honor.
Take care.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Let me stop it, Phil, and then.
Stop! 422 St. John's. 1012, single 13 PE. Hispanic male, white t-shirt, black shorts, Super 8 16, 3576, you be 54 on me. Stop.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, why, when I was driving around... Stop.
Eating.
Okay, but why did you get up and walk away?
Huh?
When you saw me, you got up and walked away. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
But you meet me here, I go for drinking.
Where are you staying?
Huh?
Where are you staying? Sleeping?
You say, yeah.
Here?
Yes.
Well, why aren't you eating inside?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
What?
I'm sorry. Speak.
Okay, I've got some comment. Okay, do you have any ID and identification? License?
What?
ID, identification.
Yeah.
In the room?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your first name?
Huh?
Your first name?
I'm sorry. I'm speaking.
Okay, do you have any weapons on you?
Huh?
You have any weapons on you?
No.
Well, you know what that is. Turn around, let me look.
No.
Turn around.
No.
Turn around.
But no.
Don't walk away from me.
No, sorry.
Don't pull away from me. I'm checking you for what? Get your hands away from your...
No.
Stop.
No.
Stop.
No. I'm sorry. Hey. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Turn around.
Get on the ground.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Get on the ground.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Stop.
Get on the ground.
Hands behind your back now.
No puedo ir.
You want to get tased?
Behind your back.
You want tased?
Put your hands behind your back.
Get on the ground.
No problem.
Give me your hands.
Sorry.
Give us your hands.
Sorry.
Give us your hands.
I'm
Divorce.
sorry.
2477, you 10
I'm sorry.
46.
I'm sorry. Hey, familia.
Stop! Let's go!
Is he going after your gun?
422 and 25, camera 16.
No. Hey. No, mi familia. Mi family.
I'm gonna tase you.
Family.
Stop!
Family.
Put your hands behind you.
Family.
Put your hands behind your fucking back.
It's family.
Turn around!
Hey. Ah!
Put your hands.
Ay, no.
Give us your hands.
No. Your dream.
Hands.
Huh?
Hands.
Hands.
Lay on your stomach.
I'm sorry, no speak English.
Lay on your stomach.
Stop.
Roll over.
Stop. Hey, stop.
You're gonna get it again.
Huh? Stop.
Give us your hands.
I mean family. Hey, family. Yeah.
Stop.
Hey.
Alright, I got one.
Just got my taser.
Hey.
Let go of the taser. You got off? Stop!
No, stop. Está bien, stop.
Stop!
Está bien.
Roll over.
Está bien.
Roll over!
Está bien, espera. Ay,
Roll over.
igual. Good. Hey.
Grab his left hand.
Hey. Mío. I'm
Stop.
sorry.
Lay down.
Ay.
Lay down.
Ay.
Stop!
Hey. Ay.
Lay down! Lay down! I still got his left hand. Get on the ground.
Put your hands on your back. Put your hands on your back now.
Stop. Hey, stop.
I got his right hand. He just won't put it on.
Stop.
Hey, shut up and listen.
Huh?
Put your hands behind your back.
Hey, you go.
You want to get tased?
Hey, I'm going to my family.
Go to a tase.
Hey.
There's one.
That one?
Hey.
He's getting up on his knees.
Family. Mi familia.
There you go.
Mi familia. Hey. Mi familia. Familia.
Put this back. Just
That comes.
Hey. Mi familia. Hey.
give me this arm now. Give me this arm.
Alright, give me the other arm. Got him.
Got it?
Stop. 4477. Down for everybody else.
477, copy 1 secure, downgrade, additional units at 2110.
Catch my breath some more.
Yeah.
Help me out.
Hey, guys. 36 inch, I'll go that 5 rescue 51. secure.
Familia. Familia. Hey. Familia.
Type 3956 is looking for me. Go ahead.
¿Están allá? ¿Están allá? Familia, sí. Yo estoy comiendo ahí. Cuando se come.
No.
¿Ya te tengo alguien? ¿Tiene algo en tu cuerpo? Eso en tu cuerpo. Let go. Let go. Let go. Ahí está. Hey George, you got some water? Water? Water. Probably. Let go of the knife. Suelta el cuchillo. Suelta el cuchillo. Let go of the knife. Break your fucking hand. Suelta el cuchillo. Va a romper tu brazo. Alright, that's out.
No tengo más. Voy a ir a ver a mi familia ya. Ese cuchillo necesito para cortar mi sandía. Voy a ver allá. Hey, voy a ver a mi familia. Voy a ver a mi familia. Hey. Voy a ver a mi familia. Oh, Dios.
Step 46.
I'm sorry.
4477, you 10-4.
I'm sorry.
Step 46.
I'm sorry. Hey, mi familia.
Stop! Let go!
246 for 4477, 422 at 2550K Road 16.
No. Hey. No, mi familia. Mi family.
I'm gonna tase you.
Family.
Stop!
Family.
Put your hands behind you.
Family.
On your fucking back.
Mi family.
Turn around!
Put your hands.
Ay, no.
Give us your hands.
No.
Hands.
Huh?
Hands.
Lay on your stomach.
I'm sorry, no speak English.
Lay on your stomach.
Stop.
Roll over.
Hey, stop. Hey, stop.
You're gonna get it again.
Huh? Stop.
Give us your hands.
Mi family. Hey, family. Hey, yeah.
Stop. Alright, I got one.
Hey.
You got my taser.
Let go of the taser. You got off? Stop.
No, stop. Está bien, stop.
Stop.
Está bien.
Roll over.
Está bien.
Roll over.
Está bien, espera. Ay,
Roll over.
the back, no
Stop.
good. Hey.
Grab his left hand.
Hey. Dios mío.
Okay.
I'm
Stop.
sorry.
Lay down.
Ay.
Lay down.
Hey.
Stop.
Hey. Ay.
Lay down. Lay down. I still got nothing. Get over there. Grab his arm.
Put your hands on your back. Hands on your back now.
Stop! Hey! Stop!
I got his right hand. He just won't put it on his
Stop!
Hey, shut up and listen.
Huh?
Put your hands behind your back.
Hey, you guys, I'm
You want to get tased?
Hey!
He's already been.
I'm going to find me. Hey!
There's one.
Hey! Hey!
He's getting up on his knees.
Mi familia!
There you go.
Mi familia!
Hold on.
Hey! Mi familia!
I don't know how to pull my cuffs.
Put this back.
Hey! Mi familia! Hey!
Give me this arm now. Give me this arm.
All right, give me the other arm. Got him. Stop. 4477 secure. Downgrade everybody else.
4477, copy 1 secure, downgrade, additional units at 2110.
Catch my breath and we'll
Yeah.
park.
Hey guys. 36 inch, I'll go that fire rescue 51. There 1051, advise 1 secure.
Hey, Brian. Yeah. You help me? Yeah. I'm a little.
Hey, you guys take a break. You guys take a break.
Hey! Familia! Familia! Hey! Tinggal yun cuando pasó ese cosa.
Nothing. Just from the
pegó.
cuffs.
Alright.
¿Ah? Sí. Sí.
Hey guys, are you 4621?
Got anything on you?
No.
¿Tú tienes algo en tu cuerpo?
No.
¿Qué es eso en tu cuerpo?
What was he? Hey, George, you got some waters? Water? We need 2 probably.
Let go of the knife.
He's got a knife?
Suelta el cuchillo. Suelta el cuchillo.
Let go of the knife. I'll break your fucking hand.
Suelta el cuchillo.
I got it.
Te va a romper tu brazo.
Okay. All right, that's out.
No tengo más. Ay. 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 Voy a ir a ver a mi familia ya. Este cuchillo necesita para cortar mi sandía. Voy a ver allá. Hey, voy a ver a mi familia. Hey, voy a ver a mi familia.
Just pull up these rest.
Voy a ver a mi familia.
Yeah.
His abilities and duties. And all the suspect had to do was comply. Instead, the suspect chose to try to remove a knife from its left-hand pocket of his pants, and the struggle was on with Sergeant Michael Kunovich until the next deputy sheriff showed up 37 seconds later. Ultimately, Sergeant Michael Kunovich succumbed basically to some medical issues that actually were induced by the struggle with our subject. When I took over as sheriff 2.5 years ago, Deputy Cameron Coward, was looking for a stolen vehicle in the parking lot of Publix parking lot of Ponte Vedra Beach when the subject exited the vehicle and fired 2 rounds from a shotgun at Deputy Cameron Coward. We're not going to tolerate it in law enforcement anymore. And we stand here today together, unified with our community. And I will tell you this, because a lot of you live, work, play, and raise your families and retire in St. Johns County, we're not going to tolerate crime in St. Johns County. But I'm not going to tolerate assault against the men and women that protect you when you lay your heads in bed at nighttime and you feel safe. Again, Sheriff T.K. Waters, my elected officials, my fellow law enforcement leaders behind us, we stand unified today to hold our communities accountable that want to commit crimes against our law enforcement officers. Thank you.